Hi everybody, this is Angie from Tourangie.com, and of course I'm in Princeton, circling around the courthouse. We're going to take a drive down Mercer Street, which I've done several times for you all before, and continue on a little bit further. But I wanted to show you, hopefully you could pick up on a few things while I'm doing this drive. This is right before Christmas. You'll be able to see some of the holiday decorations down the main drag of Princeton on Mercer Street. And I'm hoping you'll get to see the tree over on the left near the post office. So be on the lookout for that. And I've got a few things to talk to you all about today. So first we're going to talk about some statistics and some facts and some cool things to learn about that you might not know. So Mercer County itself is 26 years older than the state of West Virginia. Then we can talk about the average temperature. If you took the temperature all year long and did an average, it's 54.5 degrees. Another interesting fact is that Mercer County gets 49.4 inches. That's over 4 feet of water that falls into the county every year. So that's interesting. 4 feet of rain. That's on average. Now, one thing specifically about Princeton. It is the highest county seat in the east. And that means high as in altitude. You've maybe heard the same thing for Bluefield. It is the largest city east of Denver with the highest altitude. So I figured I'd throw that in here. But the Princeton is the highest county seat in the east. So that's a pretty interesting little fact. Of course, we're getting ready to come up here and be on Mercer Street here in a second. This is the main drag. People have called it for many years and did some cruising. But there's some more little facts I want to give out. So there are many people, surprisingly, who have ties to Mercer County or even to Princeton. I'm going to go over a few of those now. So Gary Powers, if you remember way back when, or if you were around way back when, or know some history, Gary Powers was a U-2 pilot that was shot down over Russia. Well, he took his first airplane ride at the Princeton, West Virginia airport. Pretty neat, huh? If you're interested in learning more about that, look it up. But he survived and was captured by Russia, imprisoned for a while, and then was exchanged back to the United States. So, with a prisoner exchange back in the 1960s. But it's a pretty interesting little story. Something else, Henry Ford spent the night on the Stinson farm here in 1915. So that's pretty interesting too. I felt it was perfect to mention Henry Ford's stay here in Mercer County area in 1915, especially while driving down Mercer Street, which was known for vehicles cruising the street. Another little bit of interesting history. So the first settler in what is the present site of Princeton, his name was French C. Smith. His son was French C. Smith Jr. And he ran against General Sam Houston for governor of Texas. That's pretty interesting. There's so much interesting history and information and neat people who have ties to this area. Lastly, I want to mention one person, and that is the Baileys. So everybody knows that the Baileys are a very common name here in Mercer County, first settlers and all that kind of stuff. Well, with generations that had passed, there was still plenty of Baileys in the area, and there's two sisters. Minerva Bailey, and she was a Navy nurse during World War I and was on duty when Secretary Danley's, a Navy secretary, was hospitalized. And her sister, who was also a nurse, worked with Jonathan Salk in perfecting the polio vaccine. Isn't that neat? There's a tie here to Mercer County. So we're going to talk about a couple other things First off, it's the Scott's Print Shop. As you know, this area is full of old buildings and historic places, and Scott's Printers was one of them. But right up ahead is the old uh, Virginia Railroad Depot. It's turned into a museum. It's a beautiful building with a caboose off to the right. We're going to talk about that caboose right now first. It's over to the right. You'll see it as I turn around. The Virginia caboose number 308 was donated to the city of Princeton by Norfolk and Southern Corporation, and the city has designated the caboose to be used by the Mercer County Historical Society. It's a steel caboose and a relic of the Virginia Railroad, and it was dedicated to the society on January 27th, 1991, and is preserved as a typical caboose. The St. Louis, Missouri Car Company built the caboose number 308 for the Virginian in the spring of 1949, and it was originally used as an office and a home on wheels for the conductor and the brakeman. The caboose brought up the rear of many trains loaded with coal from southern West Virginia, and those loads of coal were heading to Norfolk, Virginia. So I figured I would share that real quick since we're right here at this museum. It's the beautiful museum, railroad museum right here, and you can see straight ahead. Barely got a glimpse of it there as the caboose. Now let's talk about Scott's Printers, like I had mentioned I was going to talk about. So that print shop was here on Mercer Street. So on April 13th, 1954, Jack Scott started a business known as Scott's Sign Service with $20. He had purchased some silk screens for printing supplies, and his objective was to print no parking signs or for sale signs, signs for real estate business and others. In order to promote this business, he purchased a small hand-operated Kelsey printing press, and this was to be used to produce advertisements, to mail, and to promote the customers. And before too long, the word had got out, and his business started printing letterheads, business cards, envelopes, and so much more. Soon, the silk screen became secondary, and Jack found his niche using an old 1893 vintage C&P platen press and a linotype, which rolled off the line in the early 1900s. He had gathered up a lot of different printing tools. He had antique wood types, and at one point in time he had over 400 cases of type. He printed products sold in every state in the United States, plus Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands. His sign was printed upside down and backwards. So many people stopped over the years to take pictures of the sign on the front of his building because of the strange wording, but it made it stand out here on Mercer Street. So basically, he retired in 1984. He closed down the shop and started doing his more artistic side with watercolors and different things. But what I wanted to point out to you is that it all ties in together, this whole video. The random little facts I started giving out in the beginning of the video about the city of Princeton or even Mercer County, to the railroad museum with the caboose and the print shop, Jack Scott had his hands in all of it. He worked for the Historical Society, he did a lot for them, and he also wrote some of the stuff that I have mentioned in this video, plus having the print shop and stuff, and was instrumental in the railroad museum. So I figured I would mention all of this in one video because basically Jack Scott had help in it. That is basically all I have for this video. I wanted to give you another drive down Mercer Street, let you see some of the Christmas decorations that were up. Looks a lot better at night, and give you some more details about the wonderful city of Princeton and how Jack Scott was instrumental with a lot with the Historical Society. So thank you, Historical Society, for these books that I find all kinds of information out of. And this is Angie from Tourangie.com. Come to my website, read my blogs, and make appointments so I can help you plan your next travel adventure. Talk to you later.